OK, thank you so much. I don't know whether you were watching GB News last night, Chancellor, but Patrick Christys has done a brilliant job of tracking down migrant smuggling gangs. Can you guarantee that you will work with the evidence that GB News has acquired to smash the gangs? Because, frankly, we are making it look quite easy at this end.
Well, I will make sure that the Home Office watch that, because we do need to crack down on those gangs. It's why yesterday we announced £250 million for the Border Security Command to do just that, because we can't just carry on like we have been these last few years. We do need to stop people crossing the channel, and then we need to deport people if they're here illegally. And that's why I was able to reaffirm that we would end the use of asylum hotels during this Parliament. It's right that we get people out of those hotels, and if people have got no right to be here, they should be on the plane back home, because it's not right that British taxpayers are picking up the bill for those hotel stays.
All right, Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves, I know you've got a busy schedule. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
Rachel
so much.
Reeves, Chancellor of the Exchequer. First time on this programme. Sadly, there's many more questions we wanted to ask her. Particularly, I wanted to ask her, where is she going to put the migrants who are apparently not going to be in our hotels in 2029, which she says will be by the end of the Parliament? Let me just tell you, 2029, there'll have been a general election by then. There'll be a different government in power.
Look,
or not. They may be re-elected.
Yeah. If you didn't see Patrick Christys last night, do check it out, because Patrick and his team have done the most remarkable work on contacting, finding, tracking a smuggler, a person smuggler. And so if we can make it look that easy, there is no reason why the government... We just heard it from Rachel Reeves. She's going to help him out. She's going to work with us. Brilliant.
Well, let's make sure we send the film. So, couldn't be better timing. Look who's in the studio with us. John Mappin, owner of Camelot Castle Hotel. John, when you came on this programme last time, the reaction, you went viral. It was the biggest reaction we've had to an interview on this programme. I think one of the biggest reactions on GB News, because you made clear you've been offered vast inducements by the government to take migrants in your fabulous hotel, which we will put some images up of, and you said no.
Well, to be honest with you, Andrew, we were extremely humbled by the response. And as you say, I think that clip was viewed roughly 40 million times.
Yes,
I was called from America. Tucker Carlson got involved.
Wow.
Charlie Kirk got involved, and all sorts of... I think it struck a chord. I think, frankly, the idea of illegal migrants being put up in four-post beds at Camelot Castle in sort of more than adequate environment.
Well, it's a stunningly beautiful hotel.
We really like it, and the environment's beautiful, but I think...
And people, if you're listening on the radio, we're just seeing images of the hotel. Just describe where you are, John.
Well, it sits at the birthplace of King Arthur, the mythological birthplace of King Arthur, and it's got a 270-degree ocean view.
So that's
lovely.
in Cornwall.
It's in Cornwall, it's in Cornwall.
Yeah.
And it's a historic heritage site. In fact, I think I'm correct in saying it's the second most visited English heritage site other than Stonehenge.
Right.
So we get about 800,000 visitors a year.
Yeah.
And the idea of the sort of pressures that placing 300 to probably 400 migrants in a building, I think they'd have stacked them in there.
And they offered you £1 million contract. A lot of people would have jumped at the money.
You say that, Andrew, but actually, I think most people in England would have turned it down.
I hope you're right.
There are a few people. The British people are very fair, and on average, I think we all, in the majority, love our country. And I think everybody can see what is going on and the pressure cooker that is being created by this government and by the previous government. And look at what's happening in Ballymena. I mean, it's very serious.
Yeah, we're going to be going to Ballymena this morning, where DGBT is doing the most remarkable job on the tensions there. Could you envisage, John, had you opened your doors to asylum seekers, economic migrants, these people, similar tensions down in Cornwall? It's a different landscape, I understand, but what would the tensions have been within the village had you done that?
I think it would have destroyed the village. I think for decades. And, this is, Rachel Reeves is saying that she's going to clear out these migrant hotels. number one, as you said, where are these people going to go? And I have a sneaky feeling that they're going to be putting them into other accommodation. And I actually had a call from Switzerland the other day from a very major real estate owner. He owns property in the UK. And he was offered a 25% uplift on his rental property. And he was offered assistance to kick out the existing English tenants and replace those English tenants with illegal migrants. Now, I have a strong suspicion that that is what the government has in mind. And what this is doing is putting pressure on rentals, younger families that are trying to get into properties. It's a very, very serious situation. This country is a pressure cooker. And to answer your question, I don't think the local Cornish people would have liked it at all. They tend to think very much in the same way as any rational, sane human being would think. If you have an extra 300 people coming into a village of 1,500 people, all of whom, let's be honest, are lawbreakers.
Yeah, because they arrived illegally.
They have arrived illegally. That is a criminal act. And my point is this. If any government was actually serious about handling illegal immigration, this entire problem could be handled within a month.
Well, I think it's really important that we're clear that we're not saying that people that would arrive would then go on to break the law inevitably. I think we need to be really clear about that.
But they've broken the law to get here.
They've broken the law to get here without going through the normal channels. But what else is lost, John? What is at stake here? Because when we see politicians accommodating, quite literally accommodating hundreds of, tens of thousands of people in this way at great expense to the taxpayer, what is motivating them to do that when it is quite clear to us that there is a cost?
Well, I think there's an agenda, and I think a group of people have worked out how they can personally profit from this, and it's a very tiny number of people. They have worked out how they can profit, and these individuals don't give a damn about ordinary people out there in Britain.
Because it will never affect their high street where they live.
Well, they don't even live in England, most of these people. Yeah. These people are living in enclaves. They live they're not, well, they are on the whole effectively gated communities. If they're not gated physically, they're gated by the fact that you and I couldn't afford to live there.
Yeah.
And, you know, the truth of the matter is that it is a very tiny number of people that are profiting from what I see as the evil cultural destruction of this country. And I want to make it very clear. I don't dislike the culture of any foreigner. I appreciate foreign cultures, but I like my own culture. And I don't want to see...
And do you see, perhaps not so much in Cornwall, in other parts of Britain, that the country is changing?
It absolutely is. And even now it's changing in Cornwall. A couple of hotel owners did take the government shilling in Newquay, which was a very, very popular holiday town. The landscape there has completely changed. It is no longer the safe, cheerful holiday town that it was. My own mother lives in Eastbourne. I don't think you get more of a bellwether conservative. She's got migrant hotels up and down. She bought into Eastbourne so that she could, in her old age, walk up and down the front, as many elderly people do. She no longer feels safe doing that without somebody else. Well, she's 86 years old, and she's scared. And she's living in fear of what has happened to the society. And when you go to Eastbourne, it's a disgrace, because all the money that used to be spent on the beautiful carpet gardens that you used to have down in Eastbourne Eastbourne was known. I think they've got 5 gardeners for the whole of Eastbourne now.
Because the council have to spend the money.
Because the council has taken money from Peter to pay Paul. And, you know, my view is that charity begins at home. We are a country of common sense. We are a very fair and a very charitable people. And I genuinely don't think I am the exception. To me, it was an absolute no-brainer. I'm sure, Andrew, you wouldn't have taken the money. I know, Beverley, you wouldn't have taken the money.
Certainly not.
The truth of the matter is, and I think the majority of your viewers would feel exactly the same way.
Yeah.
You must worry about your mum.
I do. I'm very worried about her because, Eastbourne's quite a long way away from Cornwall. And
you didn't have to worry before.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't have to worry about her. And thank you for raising that. It's an emotional point for me, actually. Because, I love my mum and she's been a good mum.
Yeah.
And why shouldn't she have the right, as my grandmother did, who also happened to live in Eastbourne. There's a lot of grandmothers in Eastbourne. But they walk up and down the front and they go and get an ice cream and they will have a cup of coffee with their friends.
They see their mates.
Well, why should they be experiencing this cultural degradation?
Yeah. And there are a lot of people, actually, who feel like that about their parents, because often the elderly parents don't want to leave the house they've grown up in, and those are the areas which have changed culturally beyond all recognition. When the pub has closed, when the cafes have closed down, when there is no sense of community, it affects every generation.
Well,
John, great to see you.
You're a
John
great man.